Hello, good evening and welcome to News at 10 on TV3 with me, Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up, here are the major highlights for today. Ghana and Ivory Coast have started connecting computer systems of customs administrations in both countries to help enhance revenue compliance. Speaking at the launch of the platform, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofi Nti, said the exchange of transit data under the project would also enhance security of both countries. Some members of organized labor walked out of a meeting to decide on whether to stage a demonstration against government on the dismissal of the Executive Secretary of the Labour Commission, Charles Bawadua. They are of the view his dismissal will politicize the National Labour Commission. The Center of Coastal Management of the University of Cape Coast and our President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has appealed to Spain for assistance to implement government's initiative to help boost the Ghanaian economy. The President was receiving the outgoing Spanish ambassador to Ghana, Maria Jesus Alonso, at the Flagstaff House in Accra. So those are some of the bigger stories that were leading topical discussions on media today. Time now, though, for the big one. Thank you very much for staying with us. The details of our stories now, and the very big one we're looking at for you has to do with the story about Parliament. And now the House of Parliament says it will not allow two of its members who have been invited by officials of state security agencies to appear before them. The Speaker, Professor Mike Okwe, says this will impede smooth running of government business since the House is scheduled to sit on Monday.
The Minority Chief Whip, Muntaka Mubarak, drew the Speaker's attention to the recent happenings in the raid of houses of some members by state security agencies. The former Deputy Power Minister John Jinapor's house was raided by some personnel from the police service and the national security on Friday morning in connection with the 2015 Ameri deal. The MP for Yapekusugu said he was on his way to Parliament when he was restrained and held for about 2 hours. This raid comes after the former Minister for Power, Kwabena Donko's home, was also raided by personnel from the Criminal Investigations Department earlier in the week.
I want to humbly appeal to your good office to intervene, to assure the police department that we, and I believe every member of Parliament in this House, will be more than happy to assist them in any form. But the frustration and the harassment, the Speaker, the don't read, I think the Speaker is uncalled for. And to insist that they should be there on Monday, 1 p.m. will also impede their opportunities to perform their functions in this House.
The majority leader, Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, agreed, indicating the approach was in violation of Order 22 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, which is fortified by Article 117 of the 1992 Constitution, which gives members immunity from service of process and arrest while performing parliamentary duty.
Members of Parliament have ever been impeded and been arrested on their way to Parliament, on their way from Parliament. And that cannot be allowed to continue. Speaker, if they happened in the past and people groaned, they cannot be allowed to happen now. What is wrong, or what was wrong yesterday, is equally wrong today. And we should protect the privileges of members of parliament in our collectivity.
He indicated the invitation cannot be honored.
What we want to believe was predicated on the fact that we have never sat on a Monday, this meeting. Perhaps that may explain the reason, I don't know. Be that as it may, to the extent that this morning Parliament has agreed that we are going to sit on Monday, these orders cannot be executed.
The Speaker agreed to get in touch with appropriate security authorities to resolve the matter.
The leadership will want to ascertain really whether this legal process was also followed. I will soon after sitting call the appropriate authorities to my office and demand that honorable members involved are handled with the appropriate decorum who terminus to their office as honorable members.
All right, so the Speaker is in clear disagreement with that invitation given to the two members of Parliament, John Abu-Jinapor and also, I beg your pardon, John Jinapor and then Kwabena Donko, who are members of Parliament, saying that if the officers want to invite them, they must go through lay-down procedure. And I would want to speak to David Agbe on this. He is a governance expert and would want to find out whether or not any of the governance rules of what the police are supposed to do and what the parliamentarians are supposed to do have been breached. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, good evening, Martin.
Right. Thank you for joining us. To start with, we know that clearly the statutes say that when a member of parliament is on his way to conduct parliamentary business or on his way out of conducting parliamentary business, he cannot be arrested or detained. But in this case, their homes have been raided, as it is being put now. First of all, has the police erred in any way by going to the houses of these MPs unannounced and undertaking the investigation that they did?
Yes, Martin, I must say that the police, as a matter of fact, they are to protect all of us and try as much as possible to ensure that maintenance of law in this country is quite, crucial. And so I think that they were pursuing their mandate as security agencies. However, I think that they did not conduct themselves very well. Oppressive restrictions, as far as somebody's residence is concerned, security agencies, once upon a time, you could seek a certain clearance or get a bench warrant from a court if you are pursuing a legitimate issue which affects the country and you want to ensure that you protect the country. You can, go to court and get all those clearance and be able to pursue it. But I think in the pursuance of it, you should not breach the fundamental rights of those people. And, Martin, you do know that oppressive restrictions is just like you are limiting the pursuit of somebody's happiness. And so when it happens like that, people will have the pain. And in international relations, we used to say that every human being always wants to maximize pleasure and minimize, pain. And so as soon as the person realizes that he is being infringed upon, the person will obviously take an offense. And I think that the police officers should have known better in terms of consulting their own constitution and their models of operandi when some of these things occur.
Mr. Agbe, is it out of place that if the police have a strong suspicion about someone, they go to the person's house and investigate? Is it out of place? Or are we talking about this because it is a member or they are members of parliament?
Martin, I must say that in this case, parliamentarians, they spoke in what I would call in a unanimous voice of condemning this act. It doesn't suggest that parliamentarians could not be arrested at all. I mean, elsewhere, parliamentarians, ministers of state have been arrested when they are caught of, violating or doing certain things wrong. And so I think that our parliament cannot exonerate themselves from that equation. But then if we are doing it, we should use a legitimate and appropriate means of doing that. And in this case, when you look into our constitution and then the standing orders of parliament, it stipulates clearly that if you want to do something of that nature, at least consultation with parliament, the speaker, is quite crucial.
Right.
And so we thought that the police should have known better in terms of understanding the constitutional mandate and the privileges. And so that when they are pursuing it, they will find an appropriate ways of consulting parliament, especially the speaker of parliament, so that when they are pursuing the parliamentarians who, one way or the other, that they have found out that that person has done certain things wrong. Some of these things wouldn't have occurred at all. So I think that fundamentally, the police administration should find an appropriate way of dialoguing with parliament so that parliament can also release those people if they are found culpable of breaching any of our laws. They should be able to face the consequences. But
now, the leadership,
to be done properly.
The leadership of the House, and at least for the first time in a long while, both sides of the House have agreed to the fact that the style, the Rambo style of, barging into their houses and undertaking the investigations was out of place. And the leadership of the House, and that is in the person of the Speaker, also joined the leadership of both sides in that agreement and said that they will not allow these two persons who have been invited by the police to go for the invitation or, attend to that invitation. Have they sidestepped any orders in terms of Parliament? Have they gone contrary to any laid-down procedure when it comes to police invitation?
Martin, I do know, and I do believe that you might have been a parliamentary correspondent before. And normally, I started visiting Parliament as far back 1996 thereabout. And normally, on Mondays, they only go in for various committee sittings. I have done quite a number of presentations to parliamentarians in there. So normally, on Mondays, they don't go for the normal, sitting. They do have committees and all those things sitting. And so at this point in time, I think that they have an obligation on Monday that Parliament will obviously sit for a certain deliberation. Right. And so at this point in time, that is why the Speaker of Parliament, in consultation with the leaders in Parliament, are saying that they will be able to talk to the police senior officers so that there will be an amicable solution to some of these things. And so I think that they've spoken with a common voice, and it does not also suggest that Parliament is trying to say that they are so powerful and so therefore security agencies cannot also do their job. But then security agencies must be able to understand that they work and work properly in terms of consulting the Constitution and other regulations so that they do not violate fundamental rights of other people.
Thank you. Thank you for making time to speak with us. David Agbe is a governance expert sharing his thoughts on the invitation to the two members of Parliament, that is MP for Pru East and MP for Kosogo, that's John Jenapo and Kwabena Donko, for investigations into the Ameri deal, which has come up for discussions variously in the media. Now, the police leadership have also been commenting about this. They have said that they did not raid the houses, but that they went there in peace just to solicit information. And they've been speaking with TV3. Let's listen to them.
There's no law saying that an MP or a sitting MP cannot be questioned when it comes to criminal incidents. So we went to court and explained our case that there's a need to clear the air about this issue lingering in the public domain. And the court granted it that yes, you can go ahead and conduct a search. From what I know, the necessary protocols were done. So the Speaker is aware.
All right, clearly there seems to be some contradiction there. So we'll see how it pans out from Monday. Certainly our eyes will be in Parliament, our ears as well, and we'll see what the police also intend to do with regard to this development. This is still News at 10 on TV3. We have some more news coming up for you. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with TV3. This is still News at 10, and we're bringing you some more stories here. So yesterday, the Minister of Agric was in Parliament and said that the country is winning or has won the fight against the fall armyworms. And many were questioning whether we should start jumping for joy. In a related development, government has said that it has so far invested 16 million cedis in insecticides and spraying of the armyworm infestation in many farms. However, the problem still persists. While most farmlands have been destroyed following the infestation, others have been rendered completely useless. And I would want to speak to our correspondent, Eva Atiboka, who's joining us from the Upper East region and has visited quite a number of farms and spoken also to some farmers there to ascertain whether or not really the infestation has been dealt with decisively. Eva, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Martin.
First of all, what have you gleaned from your rounds? Really, have the fall armyworms been dealt with?
I have been visiting farms and interacting with farmers. The fall armyworm, the fight seems to still be getting tougher and tougher. All the farms I have visited, you still see the fall armyworm on their farms. The amazing thing is that the worms are not on the leaves of the crops that you would see. They are pupating in the crop. And so you open the crop, you're going to find them, either one or two, pupating in the crop there and destroying it. So I have been to a lot of places, and farmers are really experiencing, they're going through tough time fighting the fall armyworm. So what many have done is that they have resorted to traditional methods, resorted to own methods of fighting the fall armyworm. Some are using washing powder, others are using pepper and herbs, sometimes a combination of that to fight the pest.
Now, Eva, wait, you are saying that you have visited some farms, you've spoken to some farmers, and they are saying that they still have the fall armyworms on their farms.
I saw them on the farmland, not even they saying that.
You saw them yourself? You saw these armyworms yourself?
Yes, exactly. They are there. I went to Tolong. In fact, almost every farm I visited, you open a maize crop, going to find a fall armyworm or two eating in the crop and destroying it. So within few minutes that we were there, farmers, when they got to know of our presence, they thought that we were coming to their aid with some form of chemicals. So they had gathered in their numbers within few minutes. But interestingly, we didn't have the help. So they took us, we visited a lot of farms, and this problem is still persistent. So we know we winning the fight. The fight is rather essence of an offer. So farmers, they really need agent attention. They need agent.
That is completely at variance with what the minister told Parliament yesterday. He said that we had actually won the fight, and that what was left was quite insignificant because they had sent around chemicals and that farmers had already used and sprayed their farms. So these fall armyworms had been decisively dealt with. Also, some of the farmers, the leadership of, like Gau, for instance, said that it was because of the rains in the northern parts of the country. So with what these farmers are saying, how does that place what government said? Would you say it's a total lie, maybe?
Well, I don't know where the minister probably picked. I don't know where they conducted their research from, but all the areas that I have been visiting, the problem is there. And the amazing thing is that many of those farmers I spoke to, they've not even had a word. They are not aware of the government's free chemical distribution to tackle the pest. So that is why the many are even using pepper, soap, and other things to fight the pest on their own. And interestingly, the pest, in fact, they're becoming more dangerous to tackle and difficult. This is because the pests fly with unprecedented speed, and I understand they work at night. During the daytime, because of the sun, you won't see them. But early morning and in the night is when they really work. And an adult female has the potential of laying in excess over 200 eggs. And so you can imagine, and just hatching all of that in just 2 days. And so they fly with unprecedented speed, and they are fast spreading and so engulfing farms. The farmers are really calling on government to make the chemicals available to them. The minister, they don't even know. Some said they have been to MOPA offices. They only prescribe the drugs, the chemicals for them to go and buy.
We will certainly put these concerns you've brought from the farmers in the Upper East region to the Agric Minister in our subsequent bulletins, hopefully tomorrow, to get some answers. But thank you very much for
I'm speaking from the Northern region.
The Northern region, yes, Eva Tibuka from the Northern region. Thank you very much. She is our Northern regional correspondent with that update, which is totally different from what the minister said. But trust TV3, we will get answers and ensure that farmers also get the necessary assistance to deal with the 4 army ones. Let's do some labor stories before we leave. And some members of organized labor walked out of a meeting to decide on whether or not to stage a demonstration against the government on the dismissal of the Executive Secretary of the Labour Commission, Charles Bawadua. They are of the view that his dismissal will politicize the National Labour Commission.
The meeting, which was held behind closed doors, spanned 3 hours. Some members of organized labor suggested that they should stage a nationwide demonstration against government. Others also proposed consensus building with government to get the issues resolved. Some suggested that the matter should not be pursued by organized labor and rather insisted on a court settlement. This resulted in a misunderstanding, compelling them to stage a walkout.
In meetings, you have divergent opinions. And when this opinion becomes strong by the group who are representing it, and some begin to do some work away, it tells you clearly that organized labor that must be organized, not organized. Bawadua, who is the center of the matter, should know how to determine his fate. Because now he's been walked out of the place. Is he going to continue to receive salary? If he's comfortable by the way he's been treated, he's a lawyer.
In another development, the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union has pleaded with the Chief Justice to speed up investigations on the petition against the chairperson of the Electoral Commission.
We are refraining from passing, media judgment on what we are hearing. But our joy is that the whole matter should be set up for proper investigations and then conclusions should be made.
Now, President Akufo-Addo wants cooperation from the chiefs and people of Ada to enable government to develop the salt industry in the area to enhance livelihoods. The president made the appeal when the Ada Traditional Council called on him at the Flagstaff House in Accra.
The visit was to officially congratulate the president for his victory in the 2016 election and formally invite him to the annual Asafotufiame Festival. The spokesperson for the Traditional Council, Nene Sogbojo, wants the area considered for the One District, One Factory initiative. President Akufo-Addo called for support to improve resources in the area.
We have a chance